name is Andy, and this is the most magical podcast on earth. When I'm not on holiday at Walt Disney World, I'm planning a holiday to Disney. And when I'm not planning a holiday to Disney, I'm talking about Disney with other UK fans like me who make the trip to Orlando and the House of the Mouse. So whether you're a parks professional or a Florida first-timer, this is the podcast for you. Each episode, I'll be chatting to other Disney superfans to share memories of their magical times, answering your Walt Disney World questions, getting you all the latest news from the parks, and finding out what's happening right now in Orlando. So get your ears on as we take you to the most magical place on earth. This is the most magical podcast on earth as part of the Secret Recordings Network, here with a brand new podcast every other week. Every fortnight we've got more guests, more stories, more top tips, more of your questions. Make sure you give us a follow on all the socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at PodMagical is where we are. You can send over any questions you've got there as well. Like Faye, Andy, next time we go to Walt Disney World, I want to use mobile ordering. We only ever usually pay for everything with cash. Can you use cash for mobile ordering? Faye? No, you need to link a credit or debit card to your account, and that's what you'll use to pay before you pick up your order. So unfortunately, it doesn't work for cash. You just have to queue with everybody else and pay over the counter. It's a quick answer, but it's probably not the one you were looking for. Any questions? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, PodMagical is where we are. And if you'd like to be a guest like Antony, who we're going to chat to now, give me a shout. On this episode of the podcast, let's say hello to Antony and let's explain, Antony, why you love Walt Disney World so much.
I've been going ever since I was a child. Back in the 90s, I think I went for the first time when I was about 8 or 9. And I think it's that attention to detail. By day, I work in communications and marketing. And I remember even when I was a really small child, just being bowled over by the theming and the attention to detail. I remember being really obsessed with the rubbish bins, just because of how themed they were to all the different areas. Yeah. And they didn't even like scrimp on that. Like, I don't want to poo-poo other theme parks, but you go to other places and they don't even have that attention to detail. And my husband and I have been very lucky, and we've been to every single Disney park on the planet. And,
wow.
And there's the attention to detail just gets better and better as they open new things, especially with this latest trip when we went in April. We went to Galaxy's Edge, and again, just every single thing that you would think of, they have. We get really excited by, is this going to be a themed bathroom as well? it's just bizarre.
But you're right about the bins, and the sign of that is that the fact that you can get salt and pepper shakers that look like the bins. I mean, that's a good sign that, you know, if you're marketing little souvenirs of the bins, you're onto something good. So let's rewind and go back to that first time, that first visit.
There was only 3 parks back then, and Blizzard Beach hadn't even opened yet, but we went to Typhoon Lagoon. We even went to Discovery Island, that was in the middle of the lagoon. I remember that. Went to River Country. I remember getting a really bad ear infection from the water at River Country.
I've heard bad things about that, yeah.
Thankfully it wasn't anything worse than that, because it can be quite grim. I just remember me and my brother, my mum and dad, just being completely bowled over. There's certain things we didn't do. My mum and dad were always a little bit fearful of the traffic and all of that kind of stuff. So it wasn't until I went again as an adult about 10 years ago with my husband and our family that I ever saw like a nighttime spectacular, because my mum and dad didn't like driving in the dark and all of that kind of stuff. So there's so many things about it I didn't appreciate and didn't get to experience until I was a bit older. I just remember being like, wow, this is like nothing I've ever seen before. Everything's been thought of. Even when I was that young, I just remember being wowed by everything.
I can't believe you didn't get to experience like nighttime fireworks for years when you were going.
No, for years. My mum and dad were like always, and I think it was at the time, there was quite a lot of sort of bad press in the news about Florida and especially Orlando being unsafe, which isn't true and wasn't true back then. But I think my parents like sort of believed that and was like, oh well, if we leave late, we're obviously going to get mugged or something terrible. So we didn't. We always stayed off property. We always had like a villa,
right?
And so they also like to enjoy the villa and the pool, the private pool, and all that kind of stuff. It is quite tiring, but we used to go there quite early, and we used to leave. probably by about 5-6 o'clock. So yeah, I never ever saw a fireworks display until about 10 years ago when we went again for my dad's 65th birthday. We all went as a family, my brother, his children, and me and my husband, and we all went together. But that was the first time when in Disney World that I got to see the fireworks.
So what would that have been? Wishes or illuminations?
Yeah, it was Wishes, and it was also Illuminations. I'd never, like, Epcot is my favourite park. I'm obsessed with Epcot. I'm actually wearing some Epcot sunglasses on my head right now. I'm obsessed with Spaceship Earth. I've got a Spaceship cookie jar. I've got a model that I brought back one year, had its own seat on the plane. So whenever I go, we always go into Epcot first. That's I don't rush to the Magic Kingdom. I rush to Epcot first.
Let's talk about Epcot then, because you went in April. So you would have missed Guardians, or did you manage to catch Guardians? When did it open?
We just missed it. I think the day we were leaving, they were doing sort of like cast member previews, but we did miss that. So I'm looking forward to that on my next trip, and hopefully by the time I probably go next, I might go sort of towards the end of next year. So Moana Journey of Water might be open as well.
I think it might be finished by then. All of Epcot might be finished. What do you think about the direction that Epcot's going in, being such an Epcot fan and, having been there since the early days?
It needs some love. It definitely needs some love. As long as they don't rip down Spaceship Earth.
They can't.
And I'm quite pleased that they're not doing that. It seems like they're moving away from that sort of redo of the story inside of Spaceship Earth. I'm fine. I don't mind IP in the parks, particularly in Epcot, as long as it fits. And everything I've heard about the Galaxies, everything I've heard about Guardians of the Galaxy ride, it does sort of fit quite well. Apart from the terrible motion sickness that people are getting from it.
Yeah, being sick in bins and falling downstairs. But no, we don't want any of that. So as we're talking about attractions, what is your favourite attraction?
Spaceship Earth is a given, but in terms of the newer stuff and the sort of thrilling stuff, I'm not a massive fan of the movie Avatar. I think it's just okay, but the Flight of Passage is one of the most amazing theme park rides ever. We went in 2017 with some friends, and I got to, I think 2017, and we got to ride it for the first time then, and we were so excited to ride it again. And I was like, oh, was I just buzzing because it was new? And yeah, it was pretty damn incredible. And then really closely up there on this trip is we got to obviously go to Galaxy's Edge, and the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run ride was incredible. I'm a big gamer, so the fact that it felt like a video game was also just so immersive, and you got to fly the Falcon. It was brilliant. So we were lucky enough to go on there quite a lot because we did make the most of Genie Plus. And so we did get to do all the different roles, but we did enjoy flying the most.
And you enjoyed that one more than Rise of the Resistance, which is like the big attraction.
Yeah, we rode Rise of the Resistance, and I was impressed by the different ride vehicles and how it changed and all that kind of stuff. But I wasn't massively bowled over by it. I thought it was good. I mean, if I would have been sat in a 4-hour queue for it, like a lot of people were, I think I would have come out being quite disappointed. But I thought it was quite sort of next gen kind of stuff. But I don't know if I made myself think it would be like life changing. And when it came off, and it was just kind of, well, that was good. I think I felt a bit disappointment. Like the time when I got off Flights of Passage for the first time, I felt like it was life changing because it just felt so real. Like when you feel when you feel the animal like sort of breathe against your legs riding on the vehicle, I thought that was immense. And then it's not here yet, but there are amazing things coming for people for the Tron coaster. The Tron coaster from Shanghai is absolutely incredible, and I know we probably won't have it here anytime, but the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in Shanghai is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life. It is immense.
I do want to talk about you being a member of the Six Castles Club later on. We must delve into that one. In terms of Genie Plus then, how did that work for you? Have you got any tips or recommendations on how that worked for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit like, I'm used to planning. Me and my husband are both used to planning holidays in general. We do a bit of a travel blog on the side. So we're used to planning, so we don't get sort of worried about having to plan your entire day. I do think that for those people who if I look back at my mum and dad and how fearful they were back in the 90s, they would be out of their depth if they were transplanted in time and the same age as they were then now in terms of the tech to plan your day. But thankfully, me and my husband are techie and are able to do that. I know it's changed. Some of the rules I have now is that you can't buy it in advance, but we bundled it with our ticket and bought it in advance, so we had it for the entire length of our stay. We're quite good at, as soon as the plane lands, getting on some Wi-Fi and or with our network, being able to stack some fast passes up on the way to the place. And we knew where we were going, so we just set an alarm for like 6:55 each morning, just so that we could get on there, get our individual lightning lanes and our Genie Plus selection. And then we were really good at, I would do it on my phone for both of us, and my husband would set the alarm for 2 hours time when we could book our next one. And as long as you aren't scared of spending a bit of time on your phone during the day, you will be able to get the most out of your day, I think, with Genie Plus. We went in spring break and we didn't wait more than 30 minutes for any ride by either using Genie Plus or using individual lightning lanes. And I recognise we have a lot of privilege being able to do that, but we didn't have to wait. But the other thing is we just like going and eating and drinking, trying all the new restaurants and bars and hotel bars and stuff. So if we saw a queue of something that we'd done before and it was really quite big and we didn't want to wait for it, we just generally didn't wait for it. So like on this trip, for example, I didn't do test track because I've done it before and the queue was quite big and I wanted to use my lightning lane and my Genie Plus reservations for other rides. So I think that's just a thing, just like you need to do a bit of planning and you need to be on it and set yourself those alarms so you do get your value out of your Genie Plus. But also just don't be afraid to just go, well, do you know what, maybe I'll do that another day, and don't be afraid to explore the resorts. It's more than the theme parks there, and the hotels are incredible. We do a lot of hotel hopping when we're there to try some of the different hotels we haven't stayed at before or we haven't visited before, and we have a really great time. Do you stay on site now then? Because you said when you used to go as a kid, you used to get the villa. Yeah. Do you now prefer to stay in a Disney resort? We've stayed in the, apart from in Anaheim, we've stayed in the Disney hotels for all of the ones that we've stayed at. Most recently, we stayed in, because it was my birthday present and it was quite last minute, we stayed in the Art of Animation in a Little Mermaid room, which was a bit bizarre, but cool at the same time. And we really benefited from having the Skyliner there. And seeing as we love Epcot and spent a lot of time in Epcot and the studios, that was really convenient. Although I did, after a long day in the park, miss carpeting in the room that you get with a moderate or a deluxe. But we normally deluxe is when we go, but we did this so quickly, we just stopped in a value. And Disney's got so much more expensive. So we just wanted to do something quite quick, and I didn't want to take the proverbial because my husband was paying. We'll stay at the Grand Floridian, please. Club level in a suite. Yeah. Have you got, which would you say is your favourite resort? I really love, we stayed, we had a look around and we had a few meals and some drinks at the Riviera, and it's definitely on my list to stay there next time we go. The last time we stayed before then, we stayed at Saratoga Springs, which was really convenient because you're really, really close to the springs as well, Disney Springs, which is great. And what our friends stayed over in Port Orleans, and that seemed a really fun resort as well. But we love doing the monorail loop. We like going into Grand Flow. We like going into the Polynesian. We're not massive fans on the Contemporary, but it's fun just to ride the monorail through it.
And where are your favourite places to eat? You say you like to lounge hop and you like to explore the restaurants. Where are your favourites? Where are your recommendations, Antony?
We had an amazing meal at the restaurant at the Riviera resort, the one that's on the roof.
Topolino's.
Yeah, it was really, really great. We had a fantastic time there, and we had a return visit to Tiffin's and Nomad's Lounge in Animal Kingdom, which I think is one of the best restaurants in a theme park. That's great. We always do Le Cellier, and that's a must do each trip, and we did that. And this time we did Ohana's for the first time in Polynesian, which was really great fun, and a really great sort of good value. And we had a really great value breakfast at the Yacht Club, sort of buffet style breakfast, and that was really good too. So yeah, really fantastic stuff, and we just love trying all the different hotel lounge bars as well, and trying the different cocktails. So yeah, like I said earlier, don't just think the theme parks is everything. There's so much more to experience.
Yeah, definitely. If you've got no kids as well, lounge hopping is great. And often the lounge is attached to a restaurant, so if you can't get in a restaurant, you can cut off and get some of the menu items in the lounge. Save yourself a bit of money as well sometimes.
Exactly.
With Antony in just a moment for more of his Walt Disney World stories and memories. Let's do a quick update now. Let's go to the positive, because the pound to dollar and hurricanes over the last couple of weeks has not been exciting news for us really, but there are some good things to look forward to next year. Disney have announced that the after hours events are going to return from January. So from January the 4th at Hollywood Studios and January the 9th at Magic Kingdom Park, once a week, each of those parks is going to be open for an extra after hours events. It's going to be really quiet. If you've never been to one before, they are very quiet. It's pretty much like a walk-on for all the attractions. And then there's like soft drinks and water and ice cream that you can have as well. Ticket prices usually start from around $100 plus tax-ish. That's the best way to look at it. DisneyWorld.com. Tickets for those events are now on sale if you want to check more about the details of that. And also, we've got more details about what's happening at Christmas, particularly at Epcot, the Festival of the Holidays, which is one of my favourite festivals at Epcot. In fact, I love all the festivals at Epcot. There's more details about the food booths that are going to be there. The cookie stroll is back. A lot of the entertainment is going to be there. And the candlelight processional. They've announced some, in fact, most of the narrators for this year's candlelight processional, including Whoopi Goldberg, Josh Gad, Olaf, Gloria Estefan, Neil Patrick Harris, Marie Osmond, Angela Bassett will all be telling us the story of Christmas in front of a beautiful orchestra and choir at Epcot. There will be some dining plans that are going to be available for that as well if you want to make sure you get your dining package. Tickets for that, for the packages, went on sale on the 6th of October. Don't forget, you can get more details and more news as it comes in between now and the next podcast in a couple of weeks. Just check out our socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, PodMagical. Antony is on this episode of the podcast. He's a member of the Six Castles Club. He's been to every single Disney park around the world. So before we find out what the best ones are, I'm going to give you your perfect Walt Disney World day. So it's not your only day at Walt Disney World. You know, you're there for a while. But if there was one day in particular where you'd go, I'm just going to do my favourite things, my perfect day, what would it be?
Basically in Epcot. I would spend the day in Epcot, and I would go when there was a festival on, which basically is most of the
all
year.
The time.
Yeah. And I would use that for like sort of grazing lunch kind of stuff. I would have multiple times doing Spaceship Earth during the day because I have to do that multiple times. This trip was amazing for seeing it as a beacon of magic and seeing the show on Spaceship Earth. So I'd make sure I ended my day with that. But I think it would just be experiencing most of Epcot, and then probably resort hopping, going really close to that for some cocktails and some drinks, and then heading back into the park for one last go on Spaceship Earth. Like, I know it sounds really sad, but like Spaceship Earth is just like everything to me.
It's your fave.
Yeah.
Now, you're a member of the Six Castles Club. You've been to every single Disney park around the world. I'm not going to say what are your favourite parks. I'm saying what is your favourite park and the best attraction.
Okay, my favourite park, and I'm just going Castle Park because otherwise Epcot would win. My favourite Castle Park, I'm going to go with something that people probably not going to think, but Hong Kong Disneyland is a brilliant park. It's manageable. The crowds are never that big, and it has some incredible rides, including the Grizzly River sort of run around mine train, and Mystic Manor is beyond anything that you've seen in a dark ride before. Shanghai is very close, and I don't think you get a more beautiful park than Disneyland Paris. But yeah, Hong Kong Disneyland people shouldn't sleep on it. It is brilliant.
When you did the Eastern parks, did you do them all in one trip? Did you do China, Japan, Hong Kong, or have you done them at different times?
We did. We've gone to Shanghai a few times. We went to Shanghai once in 2018, and we loved it that much. We did a cruise the year after, and then I was like, we need to go into Shanghai Disneyland again. So we did another day in Shanghai Disneyland then. But when we got married in 2015, and for our first wedding anniversary in 2016, we did Hong Kong, a week in Hong Kong and a week in Tokyo, again, because we love Tokyo. So we went back to Tokyo, but all the other times we'd been to Tokyo, we'd never been to the park. So we went to the first week we did 3 days in Hong Kong Disneyland and then 4 days in Hong Kong proper. And then when we got to Japan, we did 4 days in Tokyo Disneyland and 3 days in Tokyo proper. Tokyo was just so busy. I've never seen crowds like it in a Disney park, and it did leave a bit of a bad experience in my mind. I had the most amazing room though. We stayed in the castle. We stayed in a Disneyland hotel in a castle turret room, so the room was incredible. And that sort of made up for it, but it was just so busy that you really couldn't navigate the crowds. Tokyo Disney Sea, as everyone knows, is gorgeous, and I'm so grateful I got to see it. But if I'm honest, it's not the parks in the East I'll be rushing back to. No. It's probably going to be Shanghai and Hong Kong that I can't wait to get back to.
How easy is it to book? Because obviously Disney World, Disneyland and Paris is pretty much straightforward to get there and to book. In terms of organising, did you do it as a package? Can you do it as a package? How did you get your head around booking it and getting there and the language?
We're really quite adventurous normally with booking our own trips. In recent years, we've moved back to using travel agents just because of COVID, and it's better to have it all as a package in case something goes wrong. But at the time with these ones, we did use a travel agent. The travel agent who booked our honeymoon, we went back to them for our first anniversary and was like, can you book these for me? The only thing that they couldn't book was they booked all the flights and everything like that, and they sorted all the Hong Kong Disneyland out for us, but they couldn't book Tokyo Disneyland for us. And so I did some research and ended up booking that myself, but I had to do loads of research. I recognized that when the rooms become available so many days out, they instantly sell out.
Right.
So I worked out when it was midnight in Japan and the rooms would go online, and I was there refreshing, and then they all went, and I got really depressed, and I did one more refresh, and then a very expensive castle room became available, and I was like, I'm going to just book it. And then I booked it, and then I told my husband, I've got a room at Disneyland Paris, and Disneyland Tokyo. He's like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, how much is a room? And I told him, and he's like, you what? And I was like, but it was the only room available. And but he always does realise that I was right and that we were right to book it in the end. But it's really difficult. They don't make it easier. And similarly, like I'm a bit miffed that we don't get to book Anaheim from this country if you're trying to book with Disney. They really want us only to go to Disneyland Paris or Florida or the cruise line, and it's really difficult to get anything outside of those three things.
Yeah, unless you've got your VPN. And obviously you mentioned that you've been on Tron, which we can look forward to at Magic Kingdom. What can we expect from that?
It is a really fun coaster, some amazing, it's just fun to watch because of the lights. Really great to do it at night. it's a ride vehicle that where you think, is this really going to keep me safe on this ride? Because it's a bit like the Flight of Passage ride system, but on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. It's brilliant.
Well, hopefully we'll get to experience that soon. And you're probably going back at the end of next year, did you say?
Yeah. I'm really excited to go back again. I try to go about once every 18 months. We normally go to at least one Disney park each year. We haven't done Paris for a bit, and I'd probably want to go before the 30th anniversary Paris celebrations are up.
Yeah.
So we'll probably go maybe spring next year to Paris, and maybe like late summer to Florida. My husband's a teacher, so we have to go in school.
Oh no, the expensive times.
That's where he pays.
You're going to teach, then you can pay.
Yeah.
I love that. Antony, lovely talking to you, and have a magical day.
Thank you.
Fancy being a podcast guest like Antony? Love to have you on for a chat about Walt Disney World. Just drop me a message. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok @PodMagical is where we are. If you're heading over to Orlando over the next couple of weeks, it's proper Halloween time now. It's the fall. We've got the Halloween parties, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween parties going on at the Magic Kingdom over at Universal. Halloween Horror Nights. Food and Wine Festival continues with the Eat to the Beat concert series over at Epcot. And because it's getting darker a little bit earlier now at night, the Tree of Life Awakenings is now starting to come back at night at the end of the evening from 7ish over at Animal Kingdom. If you are going, the weather, it's still going to be hot and humid now. We're post-hurricane. We're still in hurricane season though, and crowds are still busy-ish, but shouldn't be too packed over the next couple of weeks. And the top tip for this episode, just because the pound to dollar is so bad at the minute, it just made me realise about some of the stuff that we've probably covered over the last few years in the podcast, but it's quite nice every now and then to remind ourselves and go back to basics. So the top tip for this episode is pack as much as you can, and it's things you might not think about. Paracetamols, overpack paracetamols and plasters, because yes, they'll sell them in the Disney hotels, but they'll sell you like 2 paracetamols for $5 or something ridiculous. Pack them. Autograph books, take those before you go. You can buy them over here, or even get the kids to make their own out of a jotter pad. Souvenirs, pins, buy them on eBay. Stuff that you're probably going to spend a lot of money on over there, you can probably buy a little bit cheaper. Even things like breakfast for cereal bars and stuff like that. If it's just something that can, it's not going to save you a great deal of money over there, but taking it in advance just might save you a few dollars when you're over there. Just every little penny helps. Every little cent helps, doesn't it? If you've got any top tips, or if you'd like to be a podcast guest, then give me a shout. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok @PodMagical. And make sure you subscribe to the podcast as well. Hit that subscribe button so you do not miss the next episode, which will be back in a couple of weeks from now. And until then, please stand clear